you are live. Hello, the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back, Skeksis Suckers, to another episode of Emrae, a D&D 5th edition campaign in a world of my own design. I am Skeksis, aka Jim, aka your DM, as always, and ever present with us, as usual, are Jeff, or Leganor, our human bard fighter, Jin Jindorm Draprax, our resident Dragonborn sorcerer, aka Zach, and Mike, aka Merwin, or Wallace Stoneguard, the wall, the human shield, the tank, the human dodge action in a can, the horse. The horse? Anyway, apparently he's a horse today. There he is. There's Mike. All
Believe
right.
it or not, Wallace has animal handling for riding horses, and it's just never come up.
It's just well, no, you rode the elk for a second.
Yeah, for like, oh, I made a pet. Oh, it's dead.
Oh, it died.
I
So
was
anyway,
Made me sad.
in our last episode, we were trying to cross through a mountain pass, making our way away from Spring. That's a massive horse. Away from Springstone, back to the site where we first shifted time to the future. While
Yes.
passing through the mountain pass, you were besieged by a band of scouts and archers, led by a um, dark elf, a drow mage, very powerful.
Oh
Uh,
wait, were they not all drow? Just the one dude?
they were no, they were all drow. He was just
Okay.
he was the big baddie. I mean, you didn't know that because most of them were up in towers until they were killed by things from far away. But now that you've inspected, they were all drow. Anyway, um, you looted the bodies and got some fancy schmancy stuff. I don't know if you guys want to share what you discovered with the rest of the party.
yeah. Jill,
Aw.
I can't find it in the
The character sheet?
items.
The library. Oh, the journal.
Oh, and I didn't put them in the
In
journal.
the journal, yeah. Ah, okay.
Sorry. I created them.
Okie dokie.
I didn't make journal entries for them, so they're in your character sheet. I think I created on your character sheet in like the skills section where like your class skills are. I think I added an entry for that
Oh, yes, you did. Okay,
to
I
help
just see
explain
that
it
now.
all.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is a wonderful staff with many sorts of uh, fun things to be done with it. I believe we could post it.
I just
Yeah,
did.
there it is.
Does it,
Yeah.
does it
Beautiful.
look like a Does it look like a spider?
It does not look like a spider. It is.
Oh, it's a Urala staff. Oh, that's right, Urala staff. Okay.
Yeah. So it's inlaid with
Yeah.
dark purple filigree. It's capped with a familiar carving that you guys have seen before, resembling that of the Eurolite goddess. And it has some. It basically channels the powers of the 7 major prayer dances of the Eurolites in a variety of ways.
Cool. And then I was reading it. So if I expend all the charges, does that mean that it's permanently nerfed, or like basically just until the next day? If you roll a one.
If you expend the last charge, on a
Mm-hmm.
1, it retains its +1 bonus to attack and damage, but loses all other
Mm-hmm.
properties. On a
For good.
20, it regains 1d8 plus 2 charges. Everything else, it just is out of charges.
Okay.
Word kill.
So if you roll a 1, it's never going to get its charges back. If
That
you
was the
roll
question.
if you
Okay.
roll a 20, you get charges right then and there that you could use in that combat. Any other roll,
Got it.
and it's just depleted until the next recharge day.
Till the next recharge. Okay. Cool.
There's some nifty stuff going on there.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So I am definitely I'm hurting. I believe.
Wait, I think Jeff
who-
got
Jeff,
something cool
you
too. I don't know if
cured
he was
me,
sharing
right?
that with the party.
Sorry,
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was reading about
That's right,
Zach.
that's right.
Yeah, let me take your time if you guys want to read.
Let's see.
Now, in reality, you don't know any of this yet because you haven't attuned to it. You just picked it up.
Ooh, Purdy.
Yeah.
trying to find objects.
Did the dude use any of this on us?
He did not, actually.
Okay. I was like, well, I'm glad he didn't try to power word kill anybody.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
I don't think he knew
Oh, okay.
what it was that he had.
So
And
widely.
Leganor also found something cool.
If you find it before I do, just feel
Aids
I did.
armor of elven kind.
It's in your skills. You see all the red text skills, Jeff?
Oh, I was looking in inventory. That's why.
Well, it's also
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your inventory. It's the last item, but it's much harder to copy paste into chat. You can just click the chat bubble on your skill.
yeah. This is perfect. That was like the one thing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You also have resistance. Damn. Okay. Well,
Well, that like the being squishy and not being able to do anything to up my AC was the one part of this build where it's like, oh man, I can't get shield and I can't wear heavier than light armor. So I'm well, actually no, I have heavy armor proficient, but I'm a dancing crossbowing bard, so I'm not going to wear plate armor.
right. And now you can be all stealthy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's one bit that I forgot to add.
It's more powerful.
There we go.
Requires attunement.
Yeah. That was an important detail.
Well, you see, this came off the mage, right?
Yes, both of these things came off of the Drow Mage.
So you see me sitting there, and I kind of get a gleam in my eye looking at this, kind of run my hand, looking at the seams, and then very quickly just hoist them up with my negative, or not negative, but my 8 strength, -1 modifier. And whether it's graceful or a struggle, I pull the armor off of him and pick it up and hold it up, make sure it doesn't stink, make sure there's, wipe out
I
the.
could have helped you, but you know what? Never mind.
And then now that it's off of him and I'm not lifting a heavy weight, then I gracefully and then as best as possible try to hide in front of my friends.
Okay. So
You just
Make-
run off into the dark.
make a stealth check. At advantage are unnecessary. So he dons this armor, and you just happen to blink because you're human. You're humanoids, and you blink. And when you open your eye, you don't know where you went.
Yeah. Where did Leganor just go? Was he just right here?
This is more dramatic up here. Here we go.
Fingers? What?
And then
He was right here.
you hear like a whistle, and you see me leaning up against the post in the watchtower, kind of picking my teeth with a crossbow.
So as far as you guys know, he just teleported up there.
So now
Yeah.
That's quite the trick you got there, Sparkles. The thing is,
I have the dark gray, almost sable duster. I have the revolvers. I have the wide brimmed cowboy fedora, and now I have the sleek Kevlar looking leather armor.
Yeah, you're pretty badass looking.
you look like you need to go on your own little western adventure there, Fingers.
I like the way Jin looks because he's got a shotgun and a staff.
Yeah. So it's a shotgun over my shoulder here. I see the staff on the ground and I look at it and I pick it up. I kind of heft it and I give it a quick twirl.
So yeah, you don't.
And I notice the carpet.
Yeah, you don't identify it magically. I mean,
Right.
What its properties are, but you do recognize the carving on the head.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I twirl it and I notice and say, hey, look at this in there. Hey, wow, you see this? Look at this. And I show him the head of the staff there. Is Sturgis around?
Yeah, he's right next to you.
I was like, don't show it to me, show it to Flusty.
There you go. So I look at Wallace and I just kind of shake my head and point it over to Sturgis. And,
Ah,
check it out.
my.
We saw this. This was like your place, wasn't it?
This is marvelous. Yes, it is the Your Life Goddess, who I don't know if the Dungeon Master has granted a name at this point or not.
Where's that backstory I wrote like a
Unknown.
year ago?
This is incredible. Clearly, this is an artifact from the Uralites, but
Wait,
what on earth was he
Em-
doing with it?
Emir, the World Mother,
Oh, where'd you see that?
the Pantheon of Emrae.
No, Emma the World Mother is literally the creator of Emrae.
Okay, so that's separate from Eurolite.
The
Folk.
Uralite, yeah, the Uralite goddess is like more planar in origins.
Ah, okay.
So
Jim-
would I be able to tell, aside from the fact that there's the carved head, that there is any sort of magical power emanating from this staff?
I mean, nothing
What would
emanates.
trigger me?
Magic items don't typically emanate. It's
Right.
exquisitely crafted. There's like a glowing purple filigree running throughout the black length of the staff. It's got
Right.
Uralite
Okay.
markings on it. It was wielded by a powerful magic user,
Okay.
and you're an
Yeah. So
adventurer.
fair enough. Okay. Yeah. So at that, I kind of trace my fingers along the glowing purple
So wherever you touch the purple
filigree.
filigree, it darkens. Like the light turns off of wherever
Ooh.
your fingers grace over it.
Does it relight
Yeah,
after a
yeah.
time?
It's like the
Or
reverse
okay.
effect of walking around on Pandora from Avatar.
Aha. Cool. Very cool. Oh
That's
wow. Okay.
that's something, Sparkles.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time. I'm gonna look into this. I'm not feeling too well, so you guys think we could hold up for a little bit? I could use a little
Yes,
rest.
this is certainly a defensible position from my perspective. If we wanted to take a rest here, it is
I'm trying to
nighttime.
remember why it's the middle of the night. I'm trying to remember why we came here in the middle of the night in the first place.
I think we just because we want to push on.
Oh, probably yeah. I think because we were attacked by a bunch of giant saber-toothed tigers
Yes,
and was like, screw this, we're moving.
but
Get to the mountains,
if
and
we
then
need
turns out the mountains are dangerous.
if we need to break somewhere, this is probably a safe place. It's
what kind
defensible.
of
There's walls around us. There's towers for protection. We may just sleep in the top of one of them.
do you
I
know
like
what
the way you think, Frosty.
Very well. Let's
you
get
know
some
what
rest here.
What's that, Leganor?
time of evening? What
Oh,
time is it?
I'm no astrologer, but I would wager to bet it's going on midnight, 1 p.m., 1 a.m. rather.
Hmm, 6
You see
hours.
Wallace climbing one of the towers and then just like sloughing bodies over the side.
Splat, splutter.
Yeah.
Also,
A
Jim,
dull thud as they hit the ground.
is for my revolvers.
What's that, Jeff?
So I'm running low on cartridges. Can I make more, or do I need to buy them in town?
You would need to either purchase them from a vendor or generate them with a reconfigurator. Or, I guess in theory, try to figure out how they're made and fabricate them as best as you could with, D&D mechanics for tinkering or whatever. I guess in theory, I can't allow you to not. I can't not allow you to try.
I get. I kind of figured it's like I just have to be careful and yeah. Okay. Um. So Walls is up in the tower.
And pulling out his bedroll and starting to lie down.
Falling asleep in the tower. Um,
I shall join you, Wallace. That sounds wonderful.
I'll take first watch, but then I need 2 in a row back to back.
Yeah,
I believe we've just fought through first watch, but I guess we could sleep late.
yeah. Sleep.
All
Right.
right, that sounds good. Let's
Fast. Wow. So I'll take first watch. I'm gonna start using D8 hit die to heal it.
Okay.
do you
And also,
do you
since we
need
covered this,
deep
Jim,
dark vision?
do I get a single D10 to heal as a fighter and then D8s after that?
Correct. Each class level you have is one of your hit dice that you can roll.
You can do it. It's not like you have to do the D8 10 first.
No, you can do them in any order. You can, but
Yeah.
So on your character sheet, you may want to separate them. I don't know if you know how to do that, but I can do it for you.
Now I can see how you can toggle back and forth. You just have to click on the drop down.
Hmm?
So where it says hit dice, if you click where it actually says D8 or D10, there's a drop down menu to select which one you roll.
But
Oh, cool.
what else you can
Yeah.
do is this. Hang on. You could do this, and now you can choose which you're rolling. Wait, I thought you had. Hang on. Your fighter one barred 8, but it says you have 9 d8s. Fighters aren't a d8, they're a d10, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
that's the first one I rolled. If you look at it,
I know,
the 11.
but what I just did is a thing on your character sheet where you can break out your hit dice by class. But when I did that, they put them all 9 as d8s. I don't know why I did that.
Hey,
If you uncheck whatever you just did, it allowed me to select between D10 or D8.
That's very strange. I was trying to fix it and I made it worse.
All good.
Alright, well, anyway. Excuse me. Okay, so Leganor's
So
on
should I
watch and he's
should I have?
consuming hit dice.
I'm sorry. Should I have 9? Right? That's yeah. We're
Yeah,
9
you're
levels.
level 9. You should have
we're all
9
level
hit
9, yeah.
dice, but it should be 9. It should be 8 d8s and 1 d10. I don't know why it's doing it that way.
Legs, you need dark vision? Check, check. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Did you hear?
sorry.
I said always. That
Oh, that we didn't hear.
Oh, did not hear that. Okay, cool.
mic is
All right,
close.
so well,
Better.
I think it was just the word always
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
wasn't loud enough to trigger your mic.
Yep.
Where the drums going?
So
So I go over there and just kind of
Wallace and
slap
Sturgis are
each
absolutely
other.
asleep. Leganor just received dark vision and is on watch. And Jin,
Yeah, I'm gonna. I need some rest before I even start. I'm definitely considering to attuning this. Now that would require me to be awake. Is that correct? Like on a
For an hour.
yeah, you have to
oh
spend
for an
the
hour?
hour
Oh,
of being awake concentrating on the item.
I start
yeah,
to. Well,
I would not need that. I would need more rest at this point than I would to attune that. So I'm gonna take a rest. I'm gonna get some sleep,
Okay,
and then I'll roll some hit dice.
sure. So Jeff, after about an
Unless
hour, you figure out what the armor does.
I guess in the darkness and with all my friends sleeping, I'm sitting there, my precious, basically just this is the missing link. This is wow, what fortune after everything we've gone through. Basically, have like a Shakespearean soliloquy quietly to myself under the stars in the moonlight, and then shortly thereafter, I just kind of, I am. I'm as I start moving around to check all the bodies of the dead enemies very thoroughly, just see what they have on them, if it's anything coin or.
Zach, are you taking a long rest?
can I get? Do I have enough time for a long rest? If we're doing
If you
watches,
sleep long enough for a long rest.
I mean, I would definitely try
And you
for it.
don't
That's why I
you
only
don't
rolled.
so you don't have to be asleep in order to receive the benefits of a long rest. You just have to
I thought
spend
you
8
did.
hours not doing anything strenuous.
Does it have to be 8 consecutive hours?
And define long rest 5e. I'll give you the specific.
Oh.
It's a period of extended downtime, at least 8 hours long, during which a character sleeps or performs light activity, reading, talking, eating, standing watch for no more than 2 hours.
Oh. Okay. Cool. So I would be definitely shooting for that then.
Yeah, so you don't have to
As
consume
best I
hit
could.
dice. You just regain all your health on a long rest.
Cool. All right then. I'll put that back to where I was. 9. This goes back to 7, and then I will shoot for a long rest. I guess then I'm gonna get some sleep first, and then when I wake up, I'll try to attune.
Cool.
But I'm gonna be super tired.
All right. Jeff.
Yes. What's up?
Your watch goes by
Oh,
uneventfully.
all right. So after attunement, I wanted to basically practice stealth around going to all the dead bodies, not just up there, but all of them down at the lower tower and everything. Kind of, what would do we know the phase of the moon? Is it?
We can find
I
out.
guess if there's no moon, then you know, kind of beelining it to there stealthily. But if there is moon and shadows and all that, trying to use the rocks in the way and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, scouring the bodies, enjoying the armor, celebrating victory.
All right, let me tell you the phase of the moon. Just a second here. Someday this website's gonna go down, and I'm gonna be sad. It is currently. How do I want to change the current date. It keeps only letting me change the preview date. That's frustrating me. Anyway, it's currently the 29th of Exis, Emra's morning, and the moon is somewhere between half and quarter waning.
Half and quarter waning. So that means there'd still be a good amount of shadows because it would be fairly prominent in the sky and like this time of night. If it's anything like Earth.
Yeah, and we assume it is.
Okay. Then yeah, that's what I'm doing. I assume it's probably just basic stuff on all the other baddies.
Yes, all of the other baddies are carrying.
Hmm.
Dun 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 dun. They kind of dress like a tracker or hunter. They've got a short sword and a longbow with several arrows and standard leather armor.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, after that, I'm just gonna go back up and curl up under that comfy big rock right here. And once it's my turn, get a nice deep slumber and hopefully I mean if I took a long rest now, it'd have to be into the morning at least. So
Yeah, if you start a long rest now, you'd have to spend well, 2 hours of your watch could be part of it, so you'd need 6 more hours of downtime. Doesn't have to be asleep, but it has to be
so by
non-strenuous.
8 a.m. once the sun's up a bit, right?
Yeah, non-hiking is what you would need.
Okay, so how about this? I'm gonna then position myself instead so that once the morning sun comes up, I assume right is east as always.
No, in this map, right down is east.
Down is east.
Yeah,
So
because
and
you're
the
crossing through the
sun
mountain pass from west to east, or
gotcha.
east to west. I mean.
And then the sun rises in the east, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Then I'm gonna position myself as best I can over here, knowing that I want to still get some shut eye even when the sun comes up. So,
I get you. All right, cool. So Leganor falls asleep, and everyone is now sleeping through the remainder of your watch.
wait, no, I said once someone comes to relief.
No, I know he said that. Once it's my turn.
I was like, no, we all get backstabbed.
Who did you Who did you get
Or
to
it's
relieve
like
you?
The Walking Dead. Well, I suppose we didn't come up with a turn order, did we?
Not to my knowledge.
So everybody just passed
Well,
out.
sadly, it's got to be the only non-spellcaster. So I go up and I I'll be nice to Wallace. I'm not gonna do anything to his bald head. I'm just gonna tap him on the shoulder. Hey.
Oh, just asleep, not blasted. Okay. Oh,
All right,
yeah.
Chrome, you're up. We got some charging to do before we soldier on tomorrow.
Yep. Go ahead. And I look up, assuming you just disappeared.
No, I'm there to make sure you're not gonna fall asleep on me.
Oh no! I'm up. And I'll stand up and put my bedroll and climb down and find a torch to, or I don't know, find something to light and use it as a source of light, and maybe like make myself a small little fire right here and just.
Sure.
I don't know. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it temperate? Is it humid?
I can tell you that too. It is.
It's raining. Like, damn it.
There's no precipitation. It's clear
Oh, good.
night. There's a light wind, 1 to 3 miles per hour. The daytime was somewhere between 70 and 90, so by night it's probably like 55, 60.
Oh, I'm comfortable then. Okay. Hmm. All right. I will keep an eye out, but play solitaire. To wind my time,
All right.
or to bend my time.
Your 4 hours goes off smoothly, and the sun starts to rise towards the end of your watch.
I will poke Sturgis, aka Flosty.
All right, very well.
Your turn, big guy.
What?
Your turn.
Oh,
There's
we're
a small
still
fire down at the bottom.
still
We're
standing
gonna.
guard then?
Yeah, here's a deck of cards if you want to entertain yourself.
Oh no, that's fine. Thank you. I can entertain myself. All right, let me get his character sheet because I gotta update all the spell slots and stuff. Where the hell is he? Too many things in the thing. Where the heck is his character sheet?
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. Takes a lot to make a stew. I am very confused. Where the hell is his character sheet? He's not in Sturgis's study. He's not in. Oh, there he is. Okay. Alright, cool. He's all set. Okay, yeah, so his watch goes off. Now it's more like 10, 11 in the morning. Everyone has received the benefits of a long rest. And he meanders around the rock to you, Leganor, and says, Um, Master Leganor, it's getting a bit late in the day. I hate to waste too much time.
Oh, yes. Yes, Sturgis, as usual, you are correct. Very astute with your observations.
We'll be approaching noon shortly. Maybe it's time we
Of course,
best be on the
yes.
move.
See, there's no more shadow for me to hide in. All right, I'm up.
All right, gents. Up, what?
There's a joke about tapping him on the head as a snooze alarm, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
So Jen, you'll be full health now.
Oh.
Yeah, so like as I roll over and see where the sun is, I'm like, we could have, Sparkles, we could have, or getting all my names mixed up. Velocity, we could have gotten up earlier. Now, all right, come on, double time. Up. Now I see like the sun is like,
Good
oh,
morning,
all right,
guys. I
Up we come.
feel,
What? Let's go now. We've got a long way to travel. And with
Pull out
I
that,
feel like $1,000,000.
pull out a,
I bring you
Million
over
gold
to
coins.
this map.
where's the, I don't know, what's the name of one of those synth bars? Pull out one of those synth bars and just chow down as we get moving.
Ooh, you're still eating synth.
Right.
No, I am not.
After knowing where it came.
Oh, it is like Soylent Green, isn't it? Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that. You're right. Like, never mind, rations.
And by the good
I'm going to
graces
throw them
of
in the fire.
by the good graces of our sorcerer friend, plus Flosty. I mean,
Mike's over there like eating synth and hating himself while Bossy's just pulling out like breakfast from his void.
in
Lofty, can I get a
Jin
cup of coffee?
Jin can make
Yes,
food.
of course.
No, I haven't attuned it yet.
That's right. So,
Right, so you
I
guys-
asked Flossie for a good trail breakfast, some coffee, some oats, and some granola if that exists, some jerky.
So you guys are here where I'm pinging.
Yeah.
You can choose how and where you go from here.
So we can either
We're gonna follow the road.
or
You're
follow
gonna
the road.
follow the road. Okay, the road is the teal.
Yes. We're gonna follow the road to. My plan is to go to this fork and then go. Actually, no. I think we'll just go to. No, I don't want to go through the woods if I can avoid it. We'll get to this point and go straight north.
You want to avoid the woods?
As in, like, don't go all the way up here.
Well, how about we do like that other fantasy setting where they traveled parallel to a road for a long time?
What?
Suppose that is a possibility.
I'm sorry, what?
Stay near the road but off the road.
You know, in the Fellowship where they travel off the road but always within sight of it,
Oh, gotcha.
more or less.
Yeah, I mean that's up to you guys. I'm
That's
only
fine.
telling you what's
You
happening.
know, somewhat nearby. I mean, who knows what could be left from ages ago when we were here? And
I mean, does this road look like it's well traveled? Like, are there wagon ruts, or does it
No,
look like it's okay?
it still exists from whenever they stopped using the high road, but that was some time ago, and it's it's still a path. It's not overgrown with trees and stuff. It hasn't been hundreds and hundreds of years, but it's been enough time that it's not like there's no other cities for people to be traveling to and fro from.
Yeah, I don't think there's any risk to us staying on the road because I don't think anybody's really using it. It's just a way to keep our
Yeah.
bearings.
yeah, stay observant as always.
So yeah, we're walking.
We're walking here.
Very good. So, following this path, we're gonna estimate here roughly what kind of distance we're looking at.
No,
Freaking far we're going. Bloody weeks.
it's a multi-week trip.
Yeah, and then they're straight up.
So you're trying to cover 350 miles roughly.
On foot, say 10 miles a day. So we're looking at easily a
10
month.
miles a day.
No, that's not. That's too short. You're going 4 miles an hour. 5 or 6 if we're
Well, I suppose
huffing
it is. I mean, so we assume most of it's not difficult terrain. So okay, so
Yeah.
2 weeks,
Google, how far can you hike in a day?
20
I
miles.
want to say it's 20 miles typically.
Yeah. 4 miles an hour, at least 5 hours of nonstop travel, breaks, meals,
Yeah.
setting up camp.
Every hiker and trail is different, but on average you can hike 8 to 15, says this thing.
That's hiking like on backcountry trails, not on a
That's fair.
Like Appalachian Trail type of thing. Yeah. Not.
Most folks can easily hike 20 to 25 miles per day, says this answer on Quora.
again, there's different kinds of hiking, but I would say 20 a day is pretty reasonable if you say, like Mike said, 4 miles an
How
hour.
far can
Plus, we're on a trail too,
travel
like a beaten
on
trail.
Like
foot
you could be
in a
some of those answers could be people that are 40-pound rucksacks up above 10,000 feet, and others could be day hikers that do relatively flat trails, just a little, water and some snacks.
Yeah, and if we're
average
seasoned
walking
adventurers
pace
on a
3.1
path,
miles per hour. We'll call it 22 miles a day.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's do
Cool.
CALC 50 over 22. You're looking at 16 days.
16 days if we travel every day, so
16
two and a
days
half.
if you travel all day every day.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks with no interruption.
Which
Um,
we don't intend to have an interruption, but
Never.
mhm.
Certainly not the intention.
So
If there's some elk, we might have to stop and ride them. Just saying.
So all right, what I will do is between this point and the fork in the road, which we're gonna call
like all the way over here.
the first 300 miles.
Okay.
We will do a skill challenge.
Okay.
cool.
Sorry,
Now,
how long did you say?
The first
The first
300
300
miles.
miles.
So the last 50.
on that skill challenge.
The last 50 will more real
Break
time
it down.
RP it out, but the first 300 we'll do via skill challenge. This
Cool.
will also affect how long it takes and if anything else occurs.
Hurt.
So Jim, before we start that, A long rest is interrupted for 1 hour of walking. Now, if I take an hour of light walking of this hiking, can I use that to attune?
Well, you could do that any of the nights we rest.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
Any
that's
you
true
could.
now because I don't need the
any
full
1 hour
rest anymore.
period of downtime is all you need.
Very well. Okay, so next downtime then.
All right. So, I will again grant you access to Sturgis's skills on your turn, should you choose. And we will just roll initiative for turn order. I hate having to figure it out.
Don't we need our tokens for that?
Yes. Let me pull those up real quick.
I mean, you can just keep track of it. We can roll it into the
Yeah, just
chat
roll.
door.
Just roll.
Okay.
Okay. So Leganor, Jin, Wallace. That's the rotation.
I figured out the
All right.
iPad.
The other thing is now we need to figure out what the skill challenge success fail is going to be. So we know that the terrain is perilous. The road is untraveled. The wild flora and fauna are quite wild and quite fauna. So it's a tough road. It's not going to be nothing to get 300 miles. So you're going to need 10 successes before five, no, before four failures.
Oof.
So Leganor, you are up for our first skill challenge. You can use your own or Sturgis's skills for your skill challenge. Tell me what you're trying to do. I'll assign the DC, and we'll see if you win or lose.
Can I see his skills real quick?
You should have access to a character sheet from the last time we did this. If not, I can make that change.
I do see. Well, oh,
Where is
maybe
it in the?
It's not in your
Where is it in the
characters. It's
journal?
like it's way up in the notable people and places
yeah,
present
I was
Emrae.
clicking on that one, and all I see is bio and info.
Yeah, we don't have his character sheet available.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in your journal, but it's not edited or controlled. That's what I need to do. There you go.
A dwarf.
A dwarf.
There we go. We got it now.
Still loading. Hold on. Still loading.
This dude's got to make us some transmuter stones, man.
There we go. Oh,
Yeah, he can have freaking transmuter stone dark vision things.
Okay, so this is just so that I had something for you to fight in combat. He's not an actual PC.
all right. Well, why not? We'll use Sturgis first. I'm going to. I want to use Sturgis's knowledge of. I know it's kind of bad. I'm so rusty on what I remember about Emrae. I'm just gonna go back to my character sheet for now and think on it. So I'm gonna use persuasion from Leganor I would like to persuade my friends of the necessity for, like we have before. We've rehearsed this a couple times. Stay near the road, keep it in sight. You know, we can even travel on the road for a bit, but just be practiced and wary to jump off the road at a moment's notice and not be obvious. And time is of the essence, but so is minimizing any possible encounters with anyone that would impede our progress.
Sure. That should be pretty easy. I think your friends are kind of all on board with not being bad at travel. So we'll call that a DC 12. Cool. Your friends are easily swayed and stick to the road when they're supposed to, and don't give you any guff when you give them your tips and tricks for safe travels. That is success number 1. I have a notepad, don't worry, Mike.
Okay.
Is that me?
That brings up, Jin.
Cool. All right. So at this point, I'm going to kind of look around at the crew, as it were. I just want to see, if anybody is having any difficult time. I want to see. I want to just use my insight. Just try to see how everybody's doing and see if there's anything that I can help with.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand what you're trying to do.
So I am trying to see if I can either cheer them up if anybody needs that, or if I can give anybody uh, like a boost of what's the word I'm looking for? Like
It sounds
Morale?
to me like you're trying to take this
enthusiasm.
opportunity to get to know your friends really, really well and support them whenever you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
If I can give anybody a boost, if anybody needs a little bit
using
of help,
using what
then
skill?
insight. I want to see how they're feeling and how everybody's doing. If anybody's nervous or
Gotcha. Okay.
intimidated
Um.
from the previous fight, or
Okay. Everyone's pretty easy to read, and you certainly know them pretty well from your travels. Though I don't know how that is going to aid your travel, and make you travel
if anybody
faster. No,
needs a
no,
little
no,
bit of
no, 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 no,
entertainment.
no. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
This is just me talking out how I'm determining the DC.
right. I see.
So the DC is going to be high, not because it's difficult task to make your friends happy,
Hmm.
but only because it doesn't
It doesn't really help.
have that huge of an impact on your success or failure of travel. So
Roger that.
we'll do a DC 14 for that.
Okay.
And you're fine. So that is a second
Mm.
success. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's in good spirits. You guys are pretty thrilled to be headed back to your time. At least that's the intention.
I I prestidigitate some fun little woodland creatures to walk alongside us.
Sure, there's also plenty of woodland creatures that are walking alongside of you anyway.
Yeah, but mine are doughy-eyed and
Yours look like
anime-like.
Disney creatures.
Yeah.
They're not looking they're not looking at us for a meal.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you're up, Wallace.
So I think I'm the best person suited for this, despite it not being my forte. But I intend to use the tent is to use animal handling to try to get a sense of like any creature that we come across to say like what is its sense, like what is its, is it hostile, is it not, do we need to avoid it, do we need to slow down, try to like basically use what knowledge I have handling animals to help us avoid any conflicts with the natural world.
Okay, that's valid. DC 13. Success. It's too bad he didn't roll a 20. But yeah, the you're able to
Friend.
you're able to kind of see how which way the deer are going and the behaviors of some of the animals. In fact, at one point you notice a pack of some creature fleeing hurriedly from one direction, and it gives you a good sense to not go that way, so you avoid a potential conflict with some predators as a result. So yeah, very good. And we're back to our buddy Liganor.
Should Sturgis get a shot at it, or just because we're using his?
No, we just have
Yeah, you
access
have
to
you
his
have
stuff.
access to his
Okay,
skills. This is just the three of
cool.
your players' turns.
Roger.
I'd like to draw upon Sturgis's well of knowledge when it comes to not just the religious history of this world, but especially the magical history, and to really once again just explain to us how fantastical it is that we've time traveled like this and that we're creating history and creating a wake throughout time and using it to stress the importance of this errand, and that Springstone, while eye-opening, is all this is a reality that's best left to others to deal with, and reaffirm the importance of getting back to our timeline where we belong so we can finish what we started.
Okay. Again, this is a scenario where the task is pretty easy because Sturgis loves to talk long-winded about things that he's passionate about. However, um, getting all of that information reiterated while entertaining doesn't really benefit your travels. So
I see.
that is why the
Something else.
DC will be a 16. All right. So
It wouldn't have mattered.
so he's waxing poetic and going off on tangents and really giving you the business about the Eurolites and the history of the area, and he starts going into a Back to the Future type discussion about splitting timelines and how, when we go down this timeline and that timeline, and really time travel is, I mean, you have to think of it kind of like a piece of paper, but if you roll the parchment up and then you can put the pen through it, and you actually can go from time A to time B without actually physically traveling through any. And he drones on so long that you guys kind of forget to pay attention. You lose sight of the road for a bit.
Or to hate him for a little while.
Well, it's
Like,
not that you hate him. You just you know
I'll
you
get this lost in the discussion. Got
yeah,
it.
you get
Okay.
lost in the discussion and you lose a little bit of time. You start heading in the wrong direction, and that's why you fail. Is he ends up wasting a bunch of time one day because you guys started walking the wrong way because you weren't paying attention to the road.
Gotcha.
You're saying time is a fourth dimension, and if we go one way in time, it's actually not. Wait. Where are we?
Yeah.
Dang it!
Jin.
Dang it,
Okay.
Bossy.
Okay. What's this here? Where I go like this? I'm gonna use Sturgis's. No, what's the difference between perception and investigation? When would one be used versus the
So
other?
investigation is like when you're actively trying to look for something. Perception is your ability to notice things more passively.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I would have Sturgis take a look for any maybe shortcuts in the road, anything that could you would be investigating for shortcuts or uh, cleaner areas of path to make the road a little bit easier for us to travel. Like if there's
Okay.
a flat area of rock versus
So that's fine.
brambles.
What you're describing is more like tracking and wilderness survival, but
Hmm.
he's going to use his powers of investigation to do this. Um, so he will be less successful than a straight up survival check. So we're gonna have a pretty steep DC, because like
Go for
he gets sidetracked
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
following, like identifying. Well, these are actually cloven hoofed prints. This is probably an elk. Well, it could be a deer, and he's like not really looking for shortcuts. He's getting boggled down in the minutia because he's not relying on his survival
Back to the other
instincts.
thing. Yeah.
So you can roll his investigation at a 15 DC.
15 DC. All right, let me pull this up. Where is it? There it is.
Listen. Oh, I'm gonna roll a
Nevertheless,
19.
he is able to successfully point out some animal tracks
Roll.
going in a certain direction, and you follow a path that leads to a little like brook that allows you to circumvent some uphill climbing that did follow the road, and you kind of cut through a little gouged out gorge that didn't exist when the highway
Yep.
was first built 2,000 years ago, and it saves you a little bit of time that day.
Cool.
Wallace.
Um, so it's my intent to use perception to try to spot basically any risks or dangers along the road from a distance, whether it's hey, there's a flock of vultures up there, so we need to avoid that, or looking for like large critters out among the tree line, or I mean, basically just trying to look far for any risks, the danger that we may come across on our journey. That's
Sure.
what I intend to use for perception.
Makes sense. Yeah, DC 12. Perfect. Um, You are able to successfully avoid some other encounters with other scavenger beasts as a result of exactly what you said. You notice a pack of vultures circling. You don't go in that direction, and as a result, you don't have to fight more T-Rexes.
Oh, good. Wingless dragons. Avoiding. Yay.
Leganor. Oh,
So I'd like to do something a little,
mark that
maybe a
success.
little different. See, tell me first if you'll allow it, and then I'll play it out. I'd like to combine this round of skill check with the next round, which would be Jin, and I would like to use, if he's willing, my sleight of hand to combine with, I guess, his Arcana, um, to do a little. We're camped out one night. We've been traveling for a bit. We do a little prestidigitation and magic and magician and haha and break out a little bit of mead or whatever Sturgis can conjure up for us, just to keep morale light and keep everyone feeling good and in good spirits.
Might I suggest my performance?
Yes, that.
So
That one
okay,
gets in the character sheet. But I'd like to do two independent roles, my sleight of hand and his performance.
so this will be either 2 successes or 2 failures. They both have to succeed.
No, I mean, that's net negative, so never mind. I'm gonna go with a basic one. I'm gonna reteach the party how to stay really stealthy, especially at night, and to reiterate cycles of the moon, and to look at the prevailing wind to know which way the clouds might come from, to give you a few moments to flitter about, and how to step in the dark and try not to step on branches or dead leaves, and how to generally be stealthy for when the time comes.
And you're using stealth to teach that?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. And since this isn't the first time you've done it, they're pretty familiar with these things, and it's definitely helpful in travel. So we'll make the DC a 13. Yeah, success.
Very nice.
And we move to Jin.
Okay. Are we? Excuse me. Are we seeing anybody else on this road? There's probably no one because it is a rather unused road.
You
Correct?
have
Nobody.
you have, interestingly enough, in the week of travel so far, encountered no other humanoids, and the only living things you've seen have been small and docile woodland creatures as a result of your successful avoidance of greater threats through perception and tracking and survival and stealth.
Okay. So let me. That changes what I'm looking at. Okay. Now, what if I go in here? Oh, it's not as good as I thought. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would. I'm having a brain fart. One second.
Riveting content, eh, Twitch?
Yeah, guys, I'm
Coming
having
up
a.
with like 12 different, like 3 or 4 different things your character has to do that someone else hasn't already done. It's like, oh, we're running out of ideas.
Yeah,
Crap.
Well,
exactly.
that's why
It gets challenging when the numbers get
that's
higher.
why it's
Like, oh
difficult.
no, I'm not proficient in anything useful anymore.
That's why it's
Yeah,
Plus,
difficult.
I'm having like a
it's
slight
tricky
panic
after a little
attack when
while.
I realized that I couldn't do what I was planning on doing. So then it just.
I mean, you can try
Okay.
anything. It's just a matter of
Yeah. All right. So then I'm gonna just use.
try what you
I'm
want to
gonna
do.
go for perception just to see if there are any dangerous creatures or anything that would be a hindrance to our or any dangerous creatures that would be a hindrance to our travel within the nearby area that I can see. You know, maybe I'll climb a tree or a small hill to kind of look around and just to see if I see anything that is in our way or ahead in the path.
scouting out, basically.
Yeah,
Scouting.
using your perception to scout out for
Using a perception.
any hostiles along your travels.
Yeah.
Totally valuable, totally viable, and I will give you that at a DC 13.
Roger Dodge. Perception coming up.
So,
Aww.
unfortunately, you often mistake what is hostile for something that is not, or vice versa. You often mistake non-hostiles for hostiles, and you have the party like avoid the road for a long time when it was just like a pack of deer that you didn't realize. You see what you think are footprints, but they're just impressions in the ground as a result of some previous rains. So you end up losing a bunch of time going the wrong way over threats that aren't actually even threats because you were over cautious and perceiving things that weren't there.
Thing is, I appreciate you looking out for us, but you're taking too long.
We've been on the road too long, guys. We've been on the road too long.
So that's failure number 2. And
now, just to kind of pause here, this has taken days. Is that correct? So
yeah.
Okay, so in between this, I would have at night when we rest for bed, I would have attuned, spent an hour and attuned that
Sure.
staff.
Yeah, just in the in the event that I end up throwing a combat at you, I recognize you're already
exactly.
I gotcha.
I want that staff available.
Wallace.
I intend on some of these evenings to actually ask Sturgis to provide me with some ingredients to actually like cook a decent meal over the fire and use my cooking tools to like actually feed everybody a nice, hearty, successful meal so that we can stop less often and be well fed for the journey.
Okay. What skill?
Cook's tools, cook's utensils, my tool.
Oh, I hadn't even considered using tools as a skill challenge. So I really appreciate your deep dive into your character sheet to pull out all the stops. However, nothing is going to be more nourishing than magical perfect food that he conjures. So, as a result, you have a greater chance of getting less nutritious food than if you just ate Sturgis's stuff. Which
Is that
I'm stubborn.
which will
Wait.
provide some difficulty to the DC.
Hold on.
That's
Is
fine.
that offset at all by a possible placebo effect since we're actually getting a home cooked meal?
That's a stretch, but I'll take it.
I mean, he can just conjure a home cooked meal. I mean, unless you get more nourishment from watching
This
someone
is
and waiting for them
Wallace.
to
You don't
cook
get the experience of the smell and the actual act of the cooking and like the whole procedure that goes with like the discussion over the meal, and
fair.
it's a
So,
ritual.
Instead of
More
a
warming up at the
16,
setup.
it'll be a 15. You've persuaded me, and you've gotten 5%.
I'm 5% improvement. I'll take it.
Perfect.
Huzzah!
You know what? You're right. There's just something about the camaraderie of cooking a meal together. You know, Wallace, you had Leganor chop up the carrots, and you had Jin use his dragon's fire to roast some potatoes, and you guys have more stories to joke about, and it just sits better when you've made it with your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Success. Leganor. What are we at now?
I don't see on my character sheet.
We're at 7 successes and 2 failures.
Correct.
I do not see what my modifier is for the flute, or in this case, the steampunk banjo.
That'd probably be charisma.
So we have
Well, that-
You just
you have to
just hit the little
yeah.
gear and
If you go to
select
the
charisma.
gear and you change the query attribute to charisma, and then close the gear. So like Thieves' Tools, query attribute is dexterity. Disguise Kit, query attribute is charisma.
Gotcha. Well, after that wonderful meal, I'm gonna.
Well, I'm trying to do this like every other night, like just to make it a thing. Because I've never. I mean, we haven't had to cook because we've been spoiled with Sturgis, but like I actually have skills in this.
I think mine dovetails really well into yours, where after you cook, then I do a little, like we're in a tavern somewhere, play a
Ding
little,
ding 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 ding.
yeah, some ballads and some slow, sad, whatever. Anything to just boost morale.
On your steampunk banjo?
Yeah.
Got it.
Ding 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 ding
So
ding ding ding.
the banjo is one of the more irritating instruments ever created, and
That's
your
bias.
your no, no, I'm just joking. Uh, more to the point, you're attempting to be stealthy in your travels, but you're also breaking out a twangy pangy banjo at night. So, while it's great for morale, it's not so great for travel and staying hidden. So we're gonna have a DC 16 on that.
I mean, smell carries further than sound, so
I already made my roll. Don't you go try to undercut me.
If it was a DC 16, he still rolled a 27.
oh,
It's true.
Ooh, the twangy pangy banjo.
I just metagamed it.
While it does sound real
Uh,
nice, it is in fact a couple times in your singing and your playing, you hear rustling, and you have to quickly like break camp and relocate, and it's impeding your travels and it's a pain in the ass. But luckily, you avoid any altercations as a result. But it certainly a couple occasions it slowed you down as a result of the relocation.
Sorry.
Jin.
Okay, so Sturgis will be looking at each of these uh, fellow hikers with him and checking and seeing if they have any scrapes, cuts, bruises, rashes, uh, unknown blisters, and uh, any sort of other aches and pains, and see if he can help them out with his medicine skills.
All right. So Sturgis is keeping track of your health and well-being of the
Oh,
party.
can I use bardic inspiration for these skill checks for my friends?
No, because it's just like it's not a thing that's in D&D. It's just our way of speeding up travel. So it's not like you're actually trying to accomplish something in real time in the role play of the game. It's just using your abilities to aid your travel.
Yeah, we're
So
doing these things constantly throughout, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's not like
It's
I
not
look.
like
It's not like I
one
looked for
occasion.
monsters once and then stopped. Like we've been
Precisely.
doing it.
Yep. It's just an interpretation of how your abilities as a player, as an adventurer, are assisting in your travels.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
so, so yeah, so no. What was whose
Otherwise,
turn
you
was
could
it?
bardic inspire everything.
Say it was Jin's turn.
Yes,
Yep.
he was using
Oh
medicine
yeah,
for.
medicine.
Using,
So yes,
using Sturgis's medicine, yeah.
Sturgis is keeping track of blisters and health and well-being and making sure you're all hydrated and fed and healthy and yada yada. So that's cool. We'll do a medicine check on Sturgis with a DC 13. Success. Yeah, so one day, a couple weeks into the travel, one of you did get a blister, and Sturgis knew how to apply moleskin donut around it to keep it from bursting, and everything that the four of us know as Eagle Scouts was implemented on this hike.
I was a young camper in my day. I understand that we are moving away from a hostile place that we just came from. So I'm going to use my intent is to use my investigation skills to make sure that we aren't leaving a
Uh oh. Uh oh.
breaking up fires and making sure there's nothing that would leave a trace behind us that we're actually being followed for anybody to keep track.
You're using your investigation to erase
So
your
like look around and
trails.
to make sure like whenever we break camp and leave that like we aren't leaving anything behind or leaving any
Okay,
trace that would
so
show that we were
you're
here.
doing like a litter patrol. Leave no trace.
Essentially, yeah.
All right, that's fair. Um, I'll give you a DC 14 on that.
Fingertip to fingertip.
Success. You're able to one day you spot some broken banjo strings that were replaced and left behind. You make sure you get those
I
back
guess.
to Leonor, and another day you you notice some salt and seasonings that were spilled during your cooking the previous night, and you brush them nicely into the ground so nobody sees like this ring of salt on the ground, etc.
What kind of sorcery is this?
So I think we're at 9-3.
Ooh,
So this is
critical.
No pressure.
this is it. This
Mhm.
is the last one. You're up, Leganor.
What's the problem with a? Well, I guess no. It would have if we had not failed at all, it would have been me. So anyway,
Right. Yeah,
or if we had one
it
less failure, it would
varies.
have been mine.
It
So
varies.
yeah, just depends on how many failures you get.
Could be
Uh,
anybody.
I'd like to use. I would like to try to persuade my friends
You
that
already used
the
persuasion.
moment. What's that?
You already used persuasion. That was your very first one.
That's right. Well, then I'm gonna use acrobatics to. Well, I suppose I can't use sleight of hand because I already tried that, right?
You did stealth. I don't think you even did sleight of
You
hand.
were gonna use sleight of hand in the duo check with
And
Jin,
I'm
but you
gonna
didn't end up
I'd
doing
like to
that.
use sleight of hand to even more expertly cover up the remains of our campsite, leave no trace, in a true Boy Scout fashion.
I don't really know that sleight of hand applies in that.
Or acrobatics. I mean, a dexterous application of one limb or another. Well, I mean,
I appreciate that you're trying to use your best skills, but I don't think you're applying them in a way that makes sense for that skill.
gotcha.
Can we help him brainstorm, or is this got to be him?
I think in the spirit of the skill check, it should be no crosstalk.
I was just
Okay.
looking to see if there was a description there where it went into kind of spelled it out. I've used stealth. I've used persuasion. Tried perform. Hmm. Um. Then I mean, I don't know how to use acrobatics or sleight of hand then to help us out. Um, maybe can I use acrobatics to look for the singular best way to actually veer off the road through the woods, through the terrain smoothly and all that? You know, kind of like trailblazing ahead and coming back and saying, "Yep, this is the right way to go."
I could see that applying. You're in the woods, you're going off the trail, you gotta like climb trees to get a better vantage, see
There
if
you
there's
go.
a way to go that's. Yeah, I could see your acrobatics coming into play to sort of scout from a height in order to find a better path if there is one. So, um,
That's where I was hoping you'd go.
yep. So you can do that with a DC 14.
They can't hear me drumming. Oh,
I was too.
That was close. I was already thinking about how I
This
was.
is a doozy.
I was already thinking about how I was gonna lead into a combat from your failed
failures.
acrobatics.
Yeah.
Um, okay,
Wanders into a rock's nest. Oh crap.
so because you are skilled adventurers and able-bodied travelers and familiar with the land, especially the further you go west, since it's closer to your home, even though it's 2,000 years in the future, you start to notice more and more landmark in the landscape. You're able to follow the road through the woods, even through the pieces of the road that have been broken or missing, and make it to the crossroads with the old road that led south into the Kenorian woods. How are we doing on time, everybody?
I got about another like 10 minutes, but just actually 10 minutes.
Okay.
Um. All right. This is where we leave the road.
Is this where we leave the road then? Says Sturgis.
So it's been a long 2 weeks.
It has
Smuggling you two
indeed.
gents.
If I hear "Leave the town, Tinker" on that banjo one more time, I may break it.
I'm like, I'll do it.
So we've been somewhat fortunate in that we haven't come across any significant problems. Nobody's had a shot on a blade or caused me to explode, which has been a nice change of pace. I gotta say, it's been
Indeed. My
a while.
largest concern, after you told me what you learned from that staff, is that it seems to me quite a powerful Uralite relic, and I can think of only one place from whence it may have come. And unfortunately, we are approaching that place with great haste.
Well,
I would like to examine the step. Do I notice any changes as we get closer to this place?
Doesn't seem to look or appear any different from when you first acquired it. Just remember, where we are now, while it may be open field, back in our time is still a full swamp, riddled with countless sunken ruins and buried pieces of the Urlite civilization. If
so
these
do you
were,
think the locals just, I don't know, scout everything there was, which is why it's just field now?
I believe that as time does, the land has reclaimed whatever was once unearthed, and has just covered it all over with dirt. That's
Ah,
generally what happens over time to anything that's left standing for long periods. Why do you think
Yeah.
excavations are always performed to uncover ruins? Ruins don't go up, they go down.
Do you think that stuff's still here if we were to dig far enough down?
I don't
yeah, it's kind of what we're relying on, right?
I don't understand
Yeah.
why it would
Well,
not, unless someone physically moved the entire civilization elsewhere, which seems a daunting task. Which and
So we've got about
this is Jim talking to the real world. Every ancient anything is always buried. Like even the active city of Rome is, 20 feet higher than the ancient city of Rome in most places. It's just what happens over time.
so we got about what 2-3 days of walking, but we're not going to be on the road anymore. Which, although we haven't come across any people, which is bizarre. You'd think we would have come across somebody that was going to Springstone, but be that as it may, we definitely
Yes,
want to make sure we're just
I
a
am
little bit slower and more careful.
I'm actually very confused that we didn't encounter anything. Remember, Rogan suggested that we avoid the roads because they were more dangerous.
That is intriguing. Do you think we
Well,
should just cut straight north and open country, open terrain, hills and plains, or should we maybe hug the tree line a bit?
I have my vote for tree line.
I'm not one for much outdoor survival. I leave that to you.
I look at Wallace.
I, we're all city folks. I was just going to go straight there. I, I mean,
We
things
can,
in the trees can kill us just as easily as things not in the trees. I don't
we
know.
have
I mean, I
access.
look up. Do we see like I don't know? Have I seen anything that resembles a pterodactyl while we've been walking around?
You have not encountered winged dragons.
So,
Okay.
so this map that we're looking at ourselves, do our characters have a map like this to refer to,
A
or is this
Just our
physical
own
map?
memories.
No, you just have your memory of what the world looks like.
Yeah.
so? Even though it looks like there's a tree line, we don't necessarily know it's still there.
Why, you would physically see a line of trees like you would looking over a great plain.
So we can see the tree line.
Yeah, it's not so far that you can't see the curvature of the earth, or
Well,
also there isn't a curvature of the earth because it's a plane.
okay.
Of the
Just,
existence.
just getting a sense of scale and all that, and I vote we follow the tree line then, so we can have some kind of fortifications and cover at night.
We'll have to
Yeah, I
venture
suppose
out
that
into
makes
the
sense.
plains at some point. Even the shortest distance away from the trees is, you know,
Yes, but
12 miles.
That could be done in a day.
Yeah, but that's a day. Yeah.
just
And
minimize
again,
being in the open.
All right,
We
so
all
then
remember what happened last time we tried to ride a elk.
instead of 50 miles, you have almost 70 to go, following the tree line.
So an extra day and a
extra
half.
day. Yeah. I mean, I would say we just walk straight. We cut this. Um,
I mean, it's setting ourselves up for next time when we actually have more time to do this too. So
How do you? Was it alt? There we go. I would just want to cut across here during that one day.
fair enough. And then we hug the tree line all the way there.
Yeah, so that's
Hmm.
50. Well, oh, I'm not on the road, but yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah,
like
we get to
that.
the road, and then yeah, we can cut across there in a day, and then yeah. But anyway,
Again, it's all fine by me. Whatever you all want to do.
so that is the plan,
Very good then.
Dan. And with that, I assume we're breaking because
Yeah, we had a
we
bit of
have
a late
real life
start and Jeff's got stuff to do.
obligations.
So, fun little skill challenge. Not as an exciting adventure as some of our other previous sessions, but we are leading up to the next thing.
Ooh.
Dun dun
Which
Dun, dun, dun.
dun.
I'll be honest, I still am at basically a coin toss between the two things that I want to be the next thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean plot
Roll a
wise.
d2.
How long have we been level 9? Out of curiosity.
I
I feel
thought
like
you were.
it's been forever.
I thought you were all 9. Um, you just haven't used level 9 much because we've done so many one shots and non-Emrae stuff.
Oh, all right,
Mhm.
fair
So
enough.
like
I just,
in the real
Yeah,
world,
that's
you've been
true.
level 9 for a while, but we haven't done a lot at 9.
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, good night, internet.
Yeah, no, I guess that's the end. Appreciate everybody who watched for watching, all none of you, and yeah, this will be cool.
Hi, future me.
As always, as always, I've been Skeksis, and this has been a blast. We'll see you guys in the next one. Super exciting! What wonderful content. All right, let me go ahead and end the stream.